Good morning, listeners. Good morning to the Idenxt Leadership Series. And today I'm super pleased having Mat Batterbee as a guest. Matt is running Apex Channel Consultants. Please, Matt, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for the warm introduction. Yes, Mat Batterbee, founder and CEO of Apex Channel Consultants. So we are essentially providing growth consultancy services to Microsoft partners in the channel. There's loads of challenges that Microsoft partners face today, and my job is to essentially help overcome them, turn weaknesses into strengths, and help you achieve your goals. We can talk more about that. But with my background, working at Microsoft and then some of the leading distributors and marketplaces globally, and building those go-to-market strategy for partners, there's a lot of experience there in helping thousands of partners achieve their goals. So now I get this exciting opportunity to do it more one-to-one and bespoke with individual partners, which I'm, as you can tell, really excited about.
Wonderful. And you are a former board member of IMCP UK, which is nice. We're in the same club.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, IMCP UK, IMCP EMEA. I did some work for the North America IMCP as well. So yeah, in fact, the only reason I'm no longer on that is I think it was my role at PAX 8. I just ended up, I was in a dual role. I had so much going on, and I could never commit. And I hate not turning up to meetings and letting people down. So I took a step back. But maybe one day I'll rejoin again. But it's an incredible team of people that run the IMCP.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful network.
Yeah.
So I know that you wrote a blog post a few days ago about common mistakes that Microsoft partners make. And if you can tell our audience what these are, then they don't need to make them themselves.
Yeah, so I think, one that I definitely see is utilizing the Microsoft Partner Center, the resources, such as training, support, Partner Center, reporting, and membership benefits. So, I often hear from indirect partners in particular, sometimes direct, but, they don't feel the love from Microsoft. It is one way that I'll word it. And actually, if you go into your Microsoft benefits, there's tons that you can access, like pre-sales, support, technical deployment support, marketing. There's up to $400,000 worth of investment that you can tap into across your entire business. So there's a lot of benefits there. One as well is a lack of clear differentiation and specialization, and I don't mean advanced specializations there. I just mean there's no unique selling point. And I see this time and time again. In fact, if you asked 100 partners, what's your USP? I guarantee a high percentage of them would say the same thing. So I think being able to really bespoke out what you're doing, delve into your end customers, understand their industries, and start to build out niches to really give you a clear, unique selling point, help you drive retention. It's going to help you drive customer acquisition, cross-sell, upsell. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. And I think another area that I see weaknesses is ineffective sales and marketing. It's been interesting doing the business that I'm doing now because partners are a bit more honest with me about what they're doing, what they're investing in than they ever have been. And I've definitely heard time and time again, they've worked with lead generation companies or marketing agencies and it's been useless. The leads are terrible and all these things. And then I ask a very simple question, have you done any sales training for your team? And the answer is typically no. So you might have the technical capabilities and the knowledge there, but actually to drive a sale, to drive the right engagement and build a relationship, they don't have that kind of skill set. So there's definitely opportunity there to build out the sales team and how they're, driving those kind of engagements, but then also the marketing strategy, again, a lot of it being outsourced to a marketing company that doesn't really understand what they do or the channel or the solutions that they're selling. So again, building out that marketing strategy and also the way you go to market. I see a lot of, I'm going to use Copilot as the example, but I definitely see a lot of partners that will talk about, well, this is what Copilot is. They're not talking about the benefits. They're not talking about why a customer should want to use it. There's tons of free AI tools out there that, okay, we know in the tech space, they're not safe and secure 9 times out of 10, but the customers don't know that. They see a price tag, they see it's adding value, and they think job done. So there's a tons of improvements that can be made in the channel around how you're marketing and the messaging that's going out. There's also things like poor customer management. I see that as well. So I've seen tons of churn in my time, and it might be Microsoft Business Standard, Business Basic, those kind of low end SKUs, or maybe even Business Premium that churn the most. But where I've seen this churn, and when I was at like Pax8 or Ingram, and you'd see it in the reporting, you would see that they'd move to a different partner and wouldn't even be upgrading. It would just be the exact same license, the exact same amount, everything. They've just moved to a different partner. And you can argue price, but there is that customer management piece, the wraparound services that you're providing to add more value. So there's definitely ways you can build that out to keep your customers, drive retention, drive upsell and cross-sell. Neglecting security and compliance, not adopting quick enough to obviously the rapid evolution of Microsoft technologies, falling behind on the new technologies as well, like the updates and features. There's definitely, again, I go back to those resources, but there's ways that you can keep up to date with the roadmap, what's come in, what's come previously, what are the latest updates, and do it in a simple way that keeps you up to date. And then also not maximizing the relationship with their distribution partner. This is a big one because I think sometimes partners don't quite realize what their distributor does for them, or all the things they can do for them. Maybe they like the simplicity of the platform, the billing, those things, and that's great. But I mean, I've been at 3 different distributors. When I was at Microsoft, I worked with 10 different distributors, and they all have tremendous value. And again, now I'm in this neutral position. I mean, I saw it was like West Coast Cloud were doing promptathons and like sales training and all these things in London. I thought, that's brilliant. And I posted about it, and I have nothing to do with West Coast. I was like, that is absolutely brilliant. So I think, partners need to make sure they're maximizing their distribution partner as well as their Microsoft relationship. So that's some of the common mistakes that I see.
Great. So you touched on the topic of when you are selling, you need to explain the benefits. So like, what type of sellers do you think partners should have? I guess the traditional cold calling salespeople are kind of gone.
Yeah, and
What
I think
are you looking for?
I almost think you need to be able to sort of tell a story. I think you need to be able to ask more questions and understand the customer. I've been working on a project for a partner building out a Copilot practice, and they've got 4 typical industries that they seem to do really well in. So I've really delved into those industries, and you look at one solution, Microsoft 365 Copilot. All 4 industries use it in a completely different way. So just having a generic M365 business premium pitch deck or whatever that might be, it might not land well because yes, let's say manufacturing and healthcare, they need security and compliance, but in a completely different way. And the way that they'll use the technology will be completely different. So I think, you need sellers that can go and ask those questions, uncover the customer challenges, and then you fit the solution to the challenge. It's not a case of, well, we're going to try and sell Business Premium, or we're going to try and sell Copilot. No. You need to sell the solution to the challenges. So again, I think there's a lot that, I've delivered sales training to tons of partners, and it's had great results in terms of improving the conversion. But yeah, I think in terms of that selling, it's not, you need to get out of the mindset of, I'm getting on this call to sell this product. You almost need to go on and say, I don't know what I'm going to sell until I've spoken to the customer.
Yeah. And we are talking more about consultative selling. And
Yes.
Then you need to understand the business, and you need to be interested in the customer's business. So
Exactly.
any industries that you see, sorry, yes, please.
No, sorry. I was going to say, because and one statistic that really sticks in my head is like 80% of businesses would prefer to buy from a MSP, a VAR, a Microsoft partner that specializes in their industry. And I'm not saying, hey, you only focus on one industry or anything like that. But if you can speak the language of that industry and really try and understand the challenges that they face, you're going to win 9 times out of 10.
Nice. And the industries that you see are underserved, that are kind of the low-hanging fruit, greater opportunity than others?
So I think, I've been doing a bit of digging on a few industries, and I think, even so, for example, like the legal industry, they are really adopting Copilot because how many documents do they have to draft up and review and all these things, and Copilot can do it in seconds. So there's certain industries where, if you think about them in terms of what industries have manual, tedious tasks, they're the industries that are really adopting this technology. And I think, again, I think most industries are. I think there's also issues with, so even if you've got a business that's using Copilot or using, a safe and secure AI tool, 15% of employees are still going to use their own AI tools. Whatever they use to, look at recipes at night, they're going to use that tool in work. And I've had people say to me, oh, I copy and paste my emails into this chat GPT and I asked it to create a response. And I'm like, oh, you're just a data breach waiting to happen. Oh, okay. Like, a lot of these businesses don't fully understand the risks of shadow AI. So I think there's this opportunity that if you can really educate your customers on AI, forget Copilot, just educate them on AI, the risks, security, and so on, you're going to drive more adoption into Copilot long term, and also drive better adoption, across the business. So sorry, back to that question though. I think in terms of industries, it's definitely those industries where there's tedious tasks, legal, insurance, even like healthcare. There's a lot of real unique opportunities within AI in healthcare, non-profits as well. If they can speed up productivity, save costs, they can do more as well in their industry. So yeah, there's quite a few.
Nice. And you mentioned that you have experience working with distributors. I know that you have been working for Ingram and for Pax8, and your past role at Microsoft gave you a lot of relationship with many distributors. What are the best advices for how partners should make a good fit with a distributor and not just jump from distributor to distributor?
Yeah, I think, and again, being in this kind of neutral position, partners are a lot more honest with me now than they ever have been about, their annoyance with a distributor or what they like about one. Or, I'll hear partners say, well, we do our modern work business with this distributor, but we also do our Azure with this distributor. And that those two distributors are fighting to get all of the business. And I think it should fall down on what's really important to you, whether it's, the platform capabilities, the professional services that they can provide. But I think I've heard a lot of partners say to me, they don't get sort of proactive support from their distributor, and that's why they're going to leave and go somewhere else. And my advice would be, you're not really going to get that within any distributor. Distributors, the account managers typically look after up to 150 partners, depending on the country. Obviously, smaller countries might look after less partners and so on, but they are looking after all these partners. They are managing a lot of vendors, whether it's Pax8, Ingram, they have so many vendors. So it's not just Microsoft. They're having to keep on top of all this knowledge, updates, everything that's coming. And a lot of their work is very reactive. And, if you're one of 150 and there's about 225 working days in a year, you're getting around 2 days worth of effort to you, if you're lucky. And I think, there's negatives to that and there's positives, but I think this is why as well with Apex Channel Consultants, and what I'm trying to do is, I think there's opportunity outside of distribution to really enable partners to grow, get that proactive consultative support that they might not get from a distributor, depending on obviously the size of them and so on. But so in terms of the distributor, I would definitely look at, what services they provide, their platform, really delve into that, the simplified billing. But I wouldn't just jump around because you don't get that proactive support, because they might sell you the dream, another distributor, but typically you're not going to get that from any distributor because of the scale that they are at. And also every program or sales resource or anything that I built within a distributor, the first question was always, how do we scale this? So it's, how do we make this one size fits all for 50,000 partners worldwide in different regions, which is a very tough task, which again is why I want to do this bespoke consultancy. So you are going to get great resources and tools, but I wouldn't just use them straight off, because you need to personalize them to your customers, to you, and so on. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and I agree. There is a risk if partners just take assets from a distributor or from Microsoft or any other vendor and just send out, because they don't differentiate.
This is it. I have, for this partner, this project that I'm working on for them, I did a bunch of competitor analysis and did a whole report for them, looking at kind of a few other resellers that are very similar to them and their approach. And the messaging was all very similar. You could tell it was from Microsoft. There was nothing really stood out to me. And they're all great partners and very successful that I was looking at. But I just looked at their websites and their marketing on LinkedIn, and it was just very the same. And some of the messaging as well, you can tell it was written by Microsoft. If something's written by Microsoft, it is. And I think, that I definitely see that, across the channel, there's a lack of differentiation.
And it might also be a lack of interest in funding marketing inside partner organizations.
100%. And I think, some partners don't even realize that they get co-op funds from Microsoft. So their incentives split 60-40. And that's the great thing about me is they can spend their co-op funds on me if they want to. But, there is definitely, I speak to so many partners over the years that when I ask them about their marketing, it's word of mouth. And that only takes you so far. And I think, even by word of mouth, if I say to someone, oh, I got my licenses from here, you should go and check them out, they're still going to do their own due diligence, look at the website, maybe look at, I've seen statistics around businesses that will only really use LinkedIn to go and look at a business. And again, there's certain partners that their LinkedIn is non-existent. It is very much just a company page. It's there just to tick a box, but they don't post anything. There's no thought leadership about the areas that they have expertise in. So it's really concerning when word of mouth is the only marketing, or it's just outsourcing marketing to a marketing agency that doesn't understand the channel, the technology, and those things as well. That definitely runs a risk there of, again, just being generic.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because I think you need to have a balance of sales and marketing. And if you only bet on one, you will be one-legged, and that doesn't give you the right foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, the marketing, it should really tell a story. You should be able to almost follow that story along as to the value of the solutions that they're offering, the services that they're offering. It should, tell a story. It should make sense. You should make it, you should look at your end customers, your target audience, and go, okay, well, we've got this percentage of our customers are in the real estate industry. Well, let's do some targeted, it doesn't have to be a full targeted blast email campaign, but even just a few LinkedIn blogs or posts where this is the value of Copilot in real estate. This is what we've seen. These are the benefits. And then people are going to start looking at that, but not only your existing customers and driving upsell and cross-sell, but the net new as well, that are in real estate industries looking into technology. They're going to come across you because you're a thought leader in that space.
And that's really smart advice, to pick a vertical and try to make yourself known as an expert in that industry. And sometimes your solutions might be the same, but the way you articulate it is different depending on the industry.
Exactly. And I think there's even, there's opportunities now with the tools like Copilot Agents, Copilot Studio to build bespoke copilots for that industry, and it's not even a huge time consumption on your part, but you can have something that looks really bespoke. It's got a name to it. It could be, anything, it could be healthcare, AI, whatever. Terrible example there, but you've got this bespoke solution. It's on your website. You're marketing about it. You're talking to your customers about it. You're an expert in that field, and that's how you will be seen. And it helps you build out your USP.
Great. So finally, I was going to ask, Microsoft, they will switch their fiscal year in the middle of summer. So starting July 1, they will call it fiscal year 2026. So what is your best advice for partners for fiscal year 26 working together with Microsoft?
So I think I would really delve into the new. Then there was a blog release. It's on my LinkedIn, but it's out there. It's been posted by everyone. I think these things don't stay hidden if you're on LinkedIn. But there's new requirements to be whether it's a direct partner going from $300,000 to $1 million annually. There's I need the solutions partner designation. I would look at those requirements, but I would almost start to think about, okay, where's this going in FY26? You can see the change from FY25 to FY26. Increase of minimum commit for direct partners. But also, if you look at one of the biggest surprises to me was for a direct partner achieving over 1 million in annual recurring revenue, the only technical skill set requirement was one solutions partner designation. I was amazed that that wasn't a advanced specialization. My only assumption there is they are giving partners time to achieve advanced specializations ready for next year. And then I believe personally that would be a requirement. If you're that big, you should have advanced specializations. But also look at where Microsoft's put in their focus and look at the reporting that they are providing in Partner Center. So huge focus on AI. There's a bunch of designations on AI. If I was a partner, I would be looking at, we probably need to get a designation with the word AI in the title, especially if you're direct. But if you're, indirect and you've got that only a minimum requirement today of $1,000 annual recurring and passing the security score, I would look at, we need to attain a designation. We need to show our skill set in the areas that we have the skill set in. So I would really be looking at that. But also, especially for those bigger partners, with the new reporting for things like net paid seat ads, and then they've also simplified renewals and upgrades. There's reasons behind that. They're providing these reports. Are there going to be targets or extra incentives for driving net paid seat ads or, retention on renewals? They've made it easier to do it, so they're going to track that. And then also upgrades. They've made it easier to drive upgrades. So again, I honestly believe there may be more rewarding for, driving retention, renewals, upgrades, and then driving net paid seat ads and really rewarding growth. So as much as I would read that blog, tick the boxes that you tick this year, I'd start to predict where they're going. I did a video on YouTube about this week, actually, just predicting the future of the Microsoft programs. And I've had a few messages from people saying this was really useful, because I think sometimes partners look at what Microsoft's announced for this year and go, whew, we achieved, great, we'll just carry on as normal. And they don't think, yeah, but it's going to change again in 12 months' time. Like, you need to start planning ahead. So I'd start thinking about that.
And that's the opportunity with Microsoft, to always make sure that you are aligned with their forward thinking. And as you say, you can just assume that they will keep on in the same direction, and they want to get better and better partners.
Exactly. They want to reward the partners that aren't resting on their morals. They're growing, they're driving customer ads, they're driving upsells, cross sells. They are adapting in the AI era. So AI designations, those kind of things are going to look really good. So yeah, I think as much as it's sometimes difficult to predict where Microsoft can go, I think sometimes if you just look at, what they're putting their focus on, what they're announcing, you can see where they're putting their focus is. And if you want to stand that as a partner, you can start to tick the right boxes. And again, these are things that I'm really eager to help as many partners as possible with.
Super. So this has been a fantastic discussion. If partners want to continue talking to you, where can they find you?
Yes, they can find me on LinkedIn. They can also email me at matt@apexchannelconsultants.co.uk. So just my first name, MAT, and then at apexchannelconsultants.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Apex Channel Consultants, or just reach out to me directly. But always open to a conversation, and there's no commit to having a conversation with me. And who knows, even that half an hour conversation, I might give you a bunch of ideas as to where you can take your business moving forward.
Wonderful, like you have done today. Thank you so much. This was highly appreciated, and looking forward to see more success. Thank you.
Thank you.